We want to turn now to Dr. Mehmet Oz, who's the host of the Dr. Oz Show, and Gail Charnley, a toxicologist for the Juice Products Association. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being with us. Dr. Oz, you made a splash with some similar research earlier. However, your research did not make the distinction between inorganic arsenic, which is said to be a carcinogen, and organic, naturally occurring arsenic. The Consumer Report study does make that distinction, and it found this troubling amount in some juices. Do you feel vindicated in terms of your research?
Well, for me, I was not surprised by these findings, in part because we're not the first ones to have reported this. Other groups before us that come along have said the exact same thing that Consumer Reports is now as well confirmed, which is that we have elements of inorganic and organic arsenic in our apple juice and in other foods as well. And I should point out that it's not fair to say that organic arsenic is safe. There are many types of organic arsenic that we don't know a lot about, and there are some that clearly are dangerous. And the FDA now has come around and responded as well to talk about that. So this is not about us. It's about the ability to have a conversation about things that are really dangerous for us.
I was going to ask you about that because in some sense it does seem like the FDA has changed its tune a little bit. There is at the moment no standard for juices the way there is a standard for arsenic in drinking water, but now it's sort of signaling that they may change that.
Well, listen, 25 years ago we had a problem with lead in America. Right? And we have, over the last generation, been able to dramatically reduce by 90% the amount of lead that our kids are exposed to, and that's found in their blood. As a doctor, it makes me much more confident that we can do the same thing for arsenic, but we have to do this. We cannot sit back anymore and say, you know what, the environment has changed around us, our kids are at risk, and what we have to have is this painful conversation, even though people aren't happy about it.
Let Gail get in on this. You represent the juice industry, and the top line number is disturbing. 10% of juice studied had more arsenic than what's allowable in drinking water. I mean, do you dispute the science?
No, but the good news is that I found actually the Consumer Reports data to be quite reassuring because they showed that the juice samples that they tested met the the Food and Drug Administration's limit on arsenic in juice. The FDA actually does have a level of concern for arsenic in juice. The toxicologists and the food safety experts at FDA set that limit in a precautionary, public health-based way, and the juice industry is committed to meeting FDA's limits.
What do you make of the CDC numbers? Consumer Reports looked at those, and it found that people who have these juices had, on average, 20% higher levels of arsenic if they had had apple or grape juices. How do you explain that?
Well, I thought that the Consumer Reports article was a little short on data and context. It turns out that anything less than 100 micrograms in urine is normal. So think about it. If one group has 10 micrograms and the other has 12, that's a 20% increase, but it's still well below 100.
We got to go, but why not voluntarily? Why don't the juice industry just voluntarily meet these higher standards? I mean, it's no skin off the industry's back to try to make juices safer, is it?
Well, the juices are safe, and the industry is committed to meeting whatever science-based standards the FDA sets. If FDA scientists decide that the science justifies changing the standard, then the industry will meet it.
Yeah. And real quickly, Dr. Oz, you still give your kids juice?
I give them juice, but I do dilute the juice. I mix up the juices that I give them. I give them more orange juice, and I do think that the recommendations should be taken to heart by parents. But I can say something at a broader level. It is imperative for us to make the world safer for our kids. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This speaks to the broader themes about how our environment has changed and how we have to keep up with it. And that's why the FDA is, I think, adjusting its position. Right. They're keeping up with newer data that's coming out.
All right, Gail Charnley, Dr. Oz, you got to leave it there. We're out of time. Thank you so much.